Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video. I do think this will be the first video I will be posting in the year of 2025. I'm not exactly sure what day this is going up. I'm filming it on the 4th. I don't think it's gonna make it up today. I just needed a minute after Vlogmas. I posted every single day except for the last day of the year. And I'll be honest, the last couple of days I just have not felt motivated to film. Even today I kind of felt like I was like poking and putzing around, and not that I don't love filming, I just like don't necessarily have a great plan going into like my content for January because I'm not gonna be doing as much project panning. I definitely do want to focus more heavily on actually just using the makeup collection that I currently have, but not hyper focusing on products in projects. I have already posted my rolling project 10 pan update for the year, and then I will be doing the deco painting project pan, but I think aside from those two, those are gonna be my projects. So today's video is going to be a Shop My Stash video, which if you're unfamiliar with the Shop My Stash, it is just me going through my entire makeup collection, kind of shopping through my stash and picking products that I want to focus on for what I will believe will be the month. I am going to be doing a Shop My Stash series for the year, and admittedly, I don't find the actual filming of Shop My Stash videos enjoyable. It could be that I just have to like move my camera around. It's just one of my least favorite videos to like actually film, but I do really enjoy the process of shopping my stash. So I'm planning to do an episode at the beginning of each month, and then maybe I will have some like bonus episodes if, you know, if I'm feeling like I want to rotate things out. That's not to say I won't separately go shop my stash like outside of the camera. In every Shop My Stash video going forward, there will be like overhead style where you'll see what I was previously using, what I'm like keeping in, putting back, and then there will be a Shop My Stash portion of today's video, and then also every other video. I hope that I'm making sense. Sometimes I'm like, girl, the f did you just say? Tweak, or one thing that I'm really excited to kind of add as an addition to my Shop My Stashes this year is I want to add this beginning portion of the video where I pull in everything that I brought into my collection a year ago. And at the end of each month, I will be doing a like worth the purchase, reflecting on my purchases from the previous year. I was heavily inspired to do this because Hope Mess Tom does this, and I love their videos. I love their reflections. And so at the end of every month, I'll be posting my like reflections a year later. But in order to make sure, like, you know, my brain remembers how the products perform, some of these products, you know, maybe I haven't reached for in quite some time. I thought it would be fun to pull those products out at the beginning of the month, use them a little bit, and then kind of revisit at the end of the month and use it as a tool to potentially think through things that no longer serve a purpose in my collection. One thing that I really, you know what, I'm getting lost in the weeds here. I'm getting lost in the weeds. I do plan to post a whole get ready with me. So I don't want to get too lost in the weeds here, but I want to post a whole get ready with me on like just changes to the way that I'm going to be doing my channel, changes to like my thought process around my makeup collection, all things like that. But I feel like in the past, if I've received something in PR or purchased something, I haven't always been so quick to like pass things along. And that's not to say I want to bring things into my collection just to declutter them, but I feel like I want to be a little bit more critical of my makeup collection this year. And even if I like something, like if there's many other things in my collection I would rather be reaching for over that product, why is it still in my collection? I want to do a whole series tier ranking every single product in each category, but I really want to work my way through each of the products in my makeup collection so that when I go to tier rank, I can give the most information and the most accurate information. So those are just a few things you'll hear upcoming in depth in a get ready with me. But I say that because I do have my bin of products today to start this video out with, and I will start every beginning of the month episode sharing the products that I brought into my collection last year at this time. And then I also will have a couple of focus eyeshadow palettes as well, and a custom Natasha Denona palette. I am not going to film the process of putting together my Natasha palette. I thought about it, and then I just really like to like sit out with my palettes. Sometimes I'm watching football, sometimes I'm doing other things, but I just don't think I would enjoy filming that. So I will just show you guys what my custom palette looks like. And then I'll post a picture on the screen, like breaking down what each of the shades are. That is what you can expect. Longest intro ever. For the 3 of you that are likely still here, thanks so much for sticking around. If you have not yet subscribed, I would love if you would consider subscribing before moving on. Like this video, all the YouTube things. But other than that, let's just get into this Shop My Stash. Alright, we're going to start with a bit of products that came into my life last year. Basically all palettes and all makeup, whether it be purchased or things that came in PR. There are some things that are no longer in my collection, and I'll talk more about that in my worth the purchase at the end of the month. But we can start with palettes. I have 3 eyeshadow palettes that came into my life last January, and it's crazy. I actually don't remember the Surge palette coming into my collection last January. I don't know when I thought it entered my collection, but we've got this bright, fun, colorful thing. I feel like I'm definitely gonna be focusing more towards like the top rows when I'm playing around with this now. And this is not a situation where I only wanna pull this out in January and then I'm not gonna think about it the rest of the year. But I just kind of wanna refamiliarize myself. It took me at least 6 months to fully test this palette last year. So I feel like it's still kind of like fresh in my mind, but I'm excited to pull this out. And then actually what is on my eyes today, a few different things. I use Tartelette in Bloom for my mattes, but I do have the Bella Beauté Bar Angles of Illumination eyeshadow palette on the lids. And I used, I don't know if I think I meant to. Okay, I meant to use the shade Perception on the inner corner and I didn't. But I feel like this might screw it up if I do that now. No, we're gonna add a little bit of Perception and it's gonna add a little bit of pink to the inner corner. Ooh, but that does like add a little bit more of a pop. It's a little bit punchier than what we had going. Yeah, I do like that. Okay, anyway. I used Tartelette in Bloom for my mattes, and then I laid this down all over the lid, and then I layered this on top and on the inner half, or like the first half of the lid. So this is everywhere. Sorry, this is everywhere. This is on the first half of the lid and this is on the inner corner right here. I really like the way that this look turned out. I'll be honest, I feel like once I grew a love of blues and already had this love of greens, my love of purples really has kind of diminished. But I really enjoyed especially this color right here that's kind of like this pink purpley sort of shade. I thought it was so fun. And I really like the way that this look turned out. I love this eyeshadow palette. Naturally, I love blues, but I kind of wanted to reach into this for something different, not like jump right into the blues, because then I think I would get through the blues and then be like, I don't really care to use the rest of these shades. But I'm so excited to continue to play around with this palette. I love Bella Beauté Bar's formula, and I think this will also pair really nicely with just kind of like everyday looks, just one of these on the lids to kind of add a pop, add something different. Very excited about that. And then this is already something that I use every single day, but I did the Dennis Myrick's Groundworks Defining Neutrals came into my life this time last year because it did come in my Beautylish Lucky Bag. So this has been on my desk since it came in last year, but just sharing that. I got my first PR package from Lawless last January, which is wild to think about. Lawless is one of my favorite brands because I love Lawless Forget the Filler so much. So last January they sent over, I finished Cherry Vanilla last year, but they also sent over another, and they sent over the Jumbo. So, you know, I guess this will be the Lawless Forget the Filler shade that I want to reach for this month. It shouldn't be a problem. This is such a beautiful sheer red, very easy to wear for every day. Then I have my Forget the Filler lip plumping mask in Cherry Vanilla, which is one of the products that I actually want to finish off this year. So hoping to, you know, jumpstart my use this month. And then I also have the Cherry Vanilla Balm Stick, which I'll be honest, the Balm Stick isn't my favorite. It's my least favorite, like, of the Forget the Filler line, but hopefully we can get a little bit of use out of that as well. And then the other thing that I have from the PR portion of my haul last January are the Kaja stamp sticks. This is the Wink Dazzles. Okay, so it has on one end where it's like the crayon, and then on the other end it is, oh my gosh, sometimes I'm like, I am such a nerd. And then on the other end, it has like the sparkly shadow. I did end up keeping 3 out of, I believe, 6. And admittedly, I am just not the target audience for this. So I do want to get use out of these and kind of decide, like, do I actually want to keep all 3? Do I think realistically I can get use out of these, or am I going to use them this month and then they go untouched the rest of the year? I don't know, but we'll find out together. The shades that I have are Illusion, which is what I just swatched here. I mean, that looks so freaking pretty. I also am kind of wondering, like, is this going to be the year that I kind of lead into like more of neutral eyeshadow looks with sparkle? Probably not, but maybe. Then I have the shade Mocha Sparkle and Champagne Sequin. So those are the 3 shades I have left, and hoping to get some use on those this month. I must have gotten free gift with purchase the YSL Lash Clash, so I just pulled this out. I am kind of getting towards the end of my 2 current mascaras that are open, so potentially we'll open that next. And then finally, the only purchase I have still remaining in my collection from last January is the Clarins Lip Oil in the shade Apricot, which I do love the Clarins Lip Oil. I will say this is a shade that I am more likely to reach for in like the spring, summertime. But potentially maybe I would pull out my other Clarins Lip Oil, the black checkered one, and use that one now and then pull this one out in the spring. I'm not concerned that the Clarins Lip Oil is gonna go unused all year. It's one of my favorite lip oil formulas. So those are all of the PR and palettes that came in last year. As mentioned, I do want to pull in a couple of focus palettes. And for my focus palettes, I want them to be like neutral eyeshadow palettes that I can kind of lean on and go to any day of the week if I'm rushing out the door for work. These are also the palettes that I want to kind of pair with my single eyeshadow palettes that I put together each month, which I did kind of in my single eyeshadow declutter, but I have these 2 Z palettes, which I can post pictures right here with swatches of these shades in here, as well as, you know, where they came from, the brand, the shade name. So I have kind of a blue-green one this month, and then I also put together kind of like a snow angel, like pink and purple one. Oh my gosh, I created a look using this shade right here and this shade right here, like layered, and I, loved that look. So I kind of wanted to pick just a few neutral eyeshadow palettes that I thought would pair well with some of my singles as I try and get more use out of my single collection this year. So the first palette that I pulled out was the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette, and I'm pulling this out also because I feel like this will pair really beautifully with my Rowan Mood Forever quad, which is something that I am working on in my Rolling Project 10 pan. This is one of my favorites of the Natasha Denona minis. I obviously love this matte shadow right here. It's such a beautiful everyday matte shadow, and then I also really love the shade Galaxia. Absolutely love that shadow, and then hopefully I can get some use out of the other shadows as well. I am planning to do No Pan Left Behind this year, which me going through my entire eyeshadow palette collection and using every single shadow within the palette at least one time, but I'm not going to do an intro to that because I'm not going to like randomize the palettes. I'm just going to like use palettes, and then every month I'll come and let you know which palettes I was able to complete. This month I'm focused on getting through all of my Pat McGrath palettes so that I can update my Imageddon series. Alright, then I also pulled out one of my Kaja trios, which I feel like these get really neglected unless I'm traveling or it's the summertime. So I pulled out Chocolate Dalia because I wanted something that was a little bit warmer. Because the final palette that I have as a focus palette is more cool toned. So I feel like this will be just a very easy reach, whether it be for every day or again pairing with my singles. And then the final focus palette I have is the Daylight palette from Alter Ego, which is the dupe to the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. I did use the I Need a Nude over 10 times last year, so I was kind of going back and forth on do I reach for the Natasha Denona or do I pull this one in, but this one has been less used in its lifetime, so I decided to just reach for this. I also love the way that some of these shadows just sparkle on the eyes. I feel like they'll be great lid topper shades. I feel like this will be a very easy palette to use for everyday work appropriate looks, and I'm excited to get a little bit more use out of this. And then before we get into the shopping of the stash, I have my Natasha Denona custom palette that I created for the month of January. I put it in the Xenon palette. I don't know, there was something about the dark packaging that just felt very fitting for January. And It is basically half the Xenon palette, and then I think this is like a mix of the Retro Glam and the My Dream. I really wanted to kind of keep, for me, I am one of the people that saw the blue and the pink in the Xenon. It wasn't just this like grayscale color story, and so for me this is mostly like, this is actually like blue silvers is what it looks like to me. And then I also wanted something kind of mauve toned, because I do like these like dusty pinks and purples or mauves for the colder weather, and so I felt like this gave me a good balance of kind of blues and mauves. There's obviously some silvers, or like this is kind of like a white mixed in, but I feel like this could be a really fun one to play around with. And so I will post a picture over here again of me swatching it out with each of the shades from each of the palettes so that you guys can kind of see, and you can expect a Natasha custom palette from me every single month as well. So those are all of the kind of focused products of the month before we go and shop my stash. I think the theming for January is going to be mostly cool tones, maybe like baby pinks and berries for blushes, and then aside from that, maybe one glowy highlight, but then really more like subtle highlights. I did also just kick off my rolling project 10 pan, so I feel like I'm going to be focused on trying to at least get a good start on some of the products within that project. But that's kind of my thought process going into the Shop My Stash rotation. And then keep your eye out, I will be posting a get ready with me using my Shop My Stash products after each Shop My Stash episode, so that is another thing to keep your eye out for. Okay, let's get into the shopping of my stash. Okay, time to shop the stash. We are going to start with foundations, and I will say I am trying to like start working my way through my foundation collection. Like for example, I have been using these two foundations just about every day this week, trying to get a good understanding for how I truly feel about the foundation, and I've been taking notes as well so that I can come back and start my like tier ranking my entire makeup collection and really give you guys a good kind of review of each product throughout each category in my makeup collection, kind of like worth the purchase style. So I have like these 5 I feel really good about. I feel like I feel like we're good there. I think I am gonna pull my About Face next. This one, I did get kind of towards the end of 2024. This is definitely a better like shade match for me in the winter, although I have been trying to self tan a little bit. So maybe for my self tan self, I will grab the Too Faced Born This Way Soft Matte Oil Control Foundation. This is something I did also get in 2024, kind of towards the end. And then I think, oh, I also want to grab the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. This is something I used just the other day, but only one time, and this is something I'm still trying to get my thoughts on. And then do I also, maybe I'll wait on the Lancome. Okay, I'm trying to decide if I want to grab a 4th item here, especially if I just film one Shop My Stash. Like I obviously can still shop my stash outside of filming and like grab more stuff each month. I think maybe I'll also grab my L'Oreal True Match. I think I will. This one, yeah, we're gonna grab it. Okay, so we have 4 foundations. Moving into my powder and primer drawer. Okay, for primer, I think I'm gonna grab the Iconic Underglow Blurring Primer. It's been a little bit since I have reached for this, and if I'm not mistaken, it's early in the morning right now that I'm filming this, so I can't really remember, but I think this is one of the items I said I wanted to try and pan this year. I'm gonna grab that, and I will also, actually, I'm gonna grab my One Size Secure the Glow for a gripping primer. I do definitely prefer a gripping primer, and looking, I'm like, dang, I really only have 2 gripping primers currently. I am gonna have to work my way through some of my other primers here. I have so many moisturizing primers now that I'm like looking. I think maybe I'll also grab the Bare Minerals Primetime Hydrate, or maybe I should I grab the What's Up Beauty, because I've had this one for more time and used this one like longer ago. Or should I grab a face base, because I haven't reached into this yet, and this is a very hydrating primer, and it's the winter. Maybe I'm gonna grab the Bobbi Brown face base. I think that's what we're gonna do. My 2 powders that I'm going to be reaching for were sitting at my desk, so I just grabbed them. I have the Kosas Cloud Set and I have the Makeup by Mario. I'm almost done with my CoverGirl Clean Fresh, so I actually I'm just gonna put the Kosas Cloud Set there until CoverGirl Clean Fresh is done. I will say I am considering potentially decluttering the Huda Cherry Blossom Cake just because I don't love this one. I don't really love this one. Maybe I'm gonna pull this one and give it one last hurrah, one last go, one last try, but I do think I will likely end up decluttering this powder just because I like the Makeup by Mario one so much more, as well as the Nakia Joy. So we're gonna give Huda Beauty one last try, but that could be decluttered at the end of this Shop My Stash. Okay, moving on to concealer and bronzer. I do have one concealer I am currently trying to pan. The majority of the rest of my concealers, actually all of my concealers except for these 2 then at that point would be, they came into my collection last year. Now I do want to kind of prioritize the Tower 28 over the NYX simply because I like the NYX better and will repurchase this when I finish. So a part of me is just like, do I just bust through the Tower 28 and then move on to the NYX? Because then at least Tower 28's gone and I can almost just instantly repurchase NYX then without feeling guilty about it. These 2 are quite similar. That's why I'm kind of talking about these together. I think I will prioritize the Tower 28. I'm going to pull Tower 28. I do have the concealer I'm working on currently in my Shop My Stash, or sorry, in my Project 10 pan. And then maybe I'll also pull the Natasha Denona if I'm wanting something just like a little bit more full coverage. For bronzer, oh, what do we want to do for bronzer? I'm gonna pull Gucci #1. Actually, I'm gonna pull Fenty Into Sun just because I feel like this is best for me when it is these like really cold winter months. And Gucci is like a little bit darker than this, so I feel like I can get away with Gucci for longer. Okay, and then, ooh, I'm like, do I want to pull out my Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin? This is extremely sheer, and to be honest with you, I feel like I might end up getting more use out of this in the spring, summer, almost as like a product that I use as like a glowy all over the face bronzer, similar to like the Drunk Elephant Deep Bronzy. Maybe I'll hold off on that. Oh my goodness, why am I struggling so much? But maybe I will grab the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. I have mine in the shade Light Medium. Yeah, I think I will grab this for a cream bronzer. I do also have my Rare Beauty bronzing stick in my desk drawer right now, which I'll kind of keep over there. Then I think maybe I'll also grab the lightest shade of the What's Up Beauty bronzer. I haven't used these since I originally tested them, but I did really enjoy it. So I think I'll grab this. I do also have a bronzer that I have working in a project pan. I'm like, do I also want to grab my Nabla? Maybe also Nabla. Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? Okay, I think we'll have room for it. So moving on to blush and a sip of Celsius. Okay, for blush, it is still kind of that time of year that I do like to reach for, you know, more berry tones or mauve-y blush shades, which I don't have a lot of. One blush that's been on my mind, because I have not really been reaching for this at all. This has been a very neglected blush in my collection. This is not necessarily like a mauve toned blush, but this is the Ofra Chicklet blush. This was in collaboration with Samantha March, so I think I am gonna pull this. And then this Kosas blush has been like an absolute favorite. Even when this is in this drawer, I keep reaching for this. This is in the shade Euphoria, so I'm gonna just grab that because I know I'll end up reaching for that. I think I'll also grab my Makeup by Mario Desert Rose blush. I love this blush. This is one of my favorite blushes in my collection, but I kind of have been neglecting and I've forgotten about this blush over the last year, so I'd like to pull that. And then there's a different Kaleidos blush. It might be in my desk right now. I feel like Okay, I just removed the blush that I'm working on in a project pan. I feel like I should pull Rare Beauty Encourage back out. This is something I feel like I had pulled, maybe reached for once, and that's really it. But if I'm really only reaching for this 1 or 2 times a year, I don't feel like I have time for this in my collection. So I'm gonna see if I can get more use out of that. I'm like, where are all my mauve blushes at? Oh, is my, let's see. I think I'll also grab Indian Summer from Lawless. This is more of like a berry toned blush. A little bit deeper, but I feel like this would mix really well with, kind of. I'm like, these two are kind of polar opposites, but I feel like a little bit of Laura Mercier Fresco over top of Lawless could like tone it down a little bit. So I'm gonna grab these two. And then I feel like I should be good for blush. I want to overwhelm myself too much the first little bit of the year. I also have some face palettes on my desk. So, all right, that brings us to our highlighting drawer. I'm going to zoom you guys in just a little bit. Okay, highlighters. I really do want to grab this highlighter from Rose Inc. I used this quite a bit last year, but this is something that I feel like if I put effort towards this, I could kind of finish this off in the first couple of months of this year. It's a really easy formula to work with. I love the shade for my skin tone. So I'm gonna grab the Rose Inc Opalescent blush. Then I'm also gonna grab this one from Soul Body. This is something I recluttered back into my collection last year, and I ended up really enjoying this. This is the highlight in the shade Soft Pink. If you didn't know, I love a pink highlight. So I'm gonna grab Soft Pink, and then for something not pink, I'm gonna grab Miss Mercury from REM. This one is a little bit more subtle. You can certainly build this up to be more intense, but like right off of first swipe, it is on the more subtle side. It's visible, but it's not this like super blinding highlight, which I actually prefer, especially from day to day, especially when I go to work and things like that. So I'm gonna pull Miss Mercury. Oh, I feel like I have a couple of highlights in my desk drawer right now. I'm like, where's Milk and Cookies? That one's definitely more intense. I feel like I should also pull this Flower Beauty Day Glow out and just, I feel like this is something I was thinking about decluttering, and then I pulled it out like this time last year and ended up using it quite a bit. This is a more champagne cream highlighter, whereas Opalescent from Rose Inc is more pink. So I think I will pull this as well and just see if I'm still liking this. Like, how are we feeling about this in 2025? And then I'm going to leave the rest of my highlights in there, right? Or do I want to grab, maybe I'll grab the Say. Maybe I'll grab this one from Say next. It looks so dirty. This is Say Pink Glow. Like, that looks so dirty, but that's just kind of like the way that it is in the pan, and then that's how it shows up on the skin. Yeah, I think, especially if I have Opalescent, I'm gonna wait on the Say. Okay, that's good for highlights. Okay, I just put the stack in that's kind of been at my desk. So I'm gonna start with Smashbox Cali Contour. I am gonna keep this up on my desk because I would like to try and start reaching for that bronzer a little bit. This is something I would like to try and hit pan on this year. I used to love this blush too. Like, this used to be one of my most reached for blushes. So I would like to get some more use out of that blush. And I think that is in my These Products Will Self-Destruct, as well as my Lorac face palette. This is also going in my These Products Will Self-Destruct. So I'm going to keep this on top of my desk as well. I kind of want to keep this Dior palette up there just because I still feel like I'm so undecided about this. Like, I feel like I don't need this in my collection, but then I'll reach for it and be like, well, actually, I do really like it. And it has a pink highlight. So I think I'm going to keep Dior up there. I really have not reached for my Patrick Ta, but maybe I'll put Patrick Ta away until February. This screams February to me. This is the major holiday, just with all the pinks. I'm gonna put this away till Feb. And then part of me still wants to keep out the Rising Star from NARS, as well as the All That Glitters. Oh, I feel like maybe I don't need both. I feel like I'm gonna keep Rising Star. This feels still very wintry to me. The only thing I really like for like wintry is this pink highlight, but maybe this is something I can also pull back out in February with like the pink and the red. For right now, I'm gonna put that away, and then I am going to keep Rising Star on my desk. I would still have room for a couple more on my desk. And I'm wondering if, do I pull my Moon Prism blush palette back out? Maybe, because I feel like this shade Spacey would be so pretty for this time of year. I know come like spring, summer, I'm going to be reaching for Soleil and Gravity all the time, and probably Twilight even. But I feel like I could get some good use out of some of the other shades in here. Like I feel like half of the palette kind of screams winter, half of it screams spring, summer. So I'm going to pull Lunar Beauty Moon Prism. Okay, and I just checked. I definitely have room for at least one more face palette. And I think I'm actually going to grab the Glam face palette from Natasha Denona. I absolutely loved this the year that I purchased this, and I definitely didn't reach for it much last year. I will say, like, the blush isn't my favorite. I really like this for the eyeshadows, but I feel like for day-to-day eyeshadows, these are perfect. I also love the, like, shimmer toppers for the lid. So I'm going to pull this. I have my lip liners, which I think right off the bat, let's see, what lip liners do I want to grab? Okay, just for like a variety, I'm gonna grab MAC Whirl. I totally forgot I bought the Freck Shade 1 like Makeout Club lip liner. Never used it. That's horrible. I'm also gonna grab Glossier Flush for something like a little bit deeper and a little different. And then also e.l.f. Baddest Beige for some lip liners. All right, and then everything else below is really just my lip glosses, liquid lipsticks, and things like that, which I really kind of grab as I go. I don't ever match a look around like a lipstick. I usually match my lipstick to my look. So that is going to be it for this Shop My Stash. Okay, my desk is a little messy, but I just wanted to quickly show you guys all of the products in my drawers. There were a couple lingering products in my desk drawer that I honestly just kept for right now. So these are the products that I'll be using for the next couple of weeks, and that is going to wrap it up for today's Shop My Stash video. That is going to wrap up and conclude today's Shop My Stash video. I'm sorry if I felt kind of all over the place. I feel like I definitely need to film like my get ready with me things that I want for my makeup collection and for my channel this year. So I was trying to like insert these little tidbits of information with maybe not a lot of context, so I'm sorry if this felt kind of all over the place, but that is it for today's video. Thank you guys for sticking around to watch and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.